Mordecai. And I'll tell you a little story, because don't underestimate what little girls think about older men. When I was 5, my uncle's now passed away, but he used to sit me on his lap, and he would sing to me, Kimberly Jane, what a name. The first time I met you, I was never the same. Oh, my Kimberly Jane. And he'd sing to me, and oh, man, he just made me feel so special. And he would just look me in the eyes. He wasn't weird. He was just a real doting uncle, and he says, you know, but you're so special. Maybe you'll grow up and marry me someday. And I would go, oh, yeah, I'm going to marry you someday. Oh, I was dead serious I was going to marry him someday. In my 5-year-old head and heart, that was the perfect man for me. He made me feel special. When I turned 8, we get a marriage announcement that he's getting married, and I'm curled up like this, bawling. I was devastated. I was truly, truly devastated. I was jealous of his wife. Can you imagine? You're 8 years old and you're jealous of this. It's still funny to me because it just shows you that a little girl isn't thinking anything else. So Esther, you kind of wonder, wow, if he'd just maybe taken her and married her the year before because they wanted virgins, none of this would have happened. But Mordecai, being such a gentleman, wasn't going to take her till she was probably just right at that right age, where the shift would be just right. So do you think he was grieved? Oh, I think his heart was ripped out. Not only, did you see how the father's heart was ripped out? Times it by a couple more, because now we had the husband's heart being ripped out. And he had, she was the apple of his eye. Now we're talking grief. Now we're talking losses. Now we're talking sacrifice. You think he had a right to be angry with the king? At the same time, girls are being gathered up, boys are being gathered up. Because the king is going to need a lot more eunuchs to supervise all these virgins. So there's more boys being gathered up. So, you know, this is a crisis to the teenager. What's the crisis to our teenagers today? If Satan can get them at that age, he's got them for a long time. Even though she's been kidnapped, I love Mordecai's dedication. He knows she will not be his wife. And what does he do? Every day, he goes to the front gate where the harem is every day, all day long. Forget his job. He was wanting to know how she was being treated and how she was doing. So his husbandship didn't end. Because husband means one who tends, one who's going to continue to care. And his fatherhood didn't end either. So Esther is her Persian name, and it means a star. There's a scripture in Revelations that talks about stars, and it alludes to all of us being stars. You're all stars. She doesn't feel like a star right now. Okay, she's going to a harem. Let's talk about harems. You've got hundreds of terrified girls all packed in one place, and you've got a couple eunuchs trying to get some order. And their job is to make sure that they look right and are really virgins. They don't even know what's coming. That's terror. What do you do when terror is totally activated in front of you? What are you doing? What was Esther doing? Something about Esther, though. She keeps her head. She keeps her head, and she quickly gains favor. I imagine her going around just saying, it's going to be okay. I'll be, it's going to be all right. Don't stop crying. I miss my daddy too, and it'll be all right. We're together in this. We're together in this. What will we do? How will we survive? And she's leading out. She's not just soaking in her own victimization. She is trying to encourage and build up and give hope. Oh, starlets, that's what we have to do. We have to build up and give hope. And she's young. She's learned this early. That has to do with her upbringing. And Haggai, he notices that. Probably calmed down a whole crazy, chaotic scene. Thank you. You got these chicks all mellow, I mean, this is what I'm inferring. And who knows what he might have had to have done to calm the storm in their lives. Maybe he had to use drugs or wine. Throw these girls a bunch of wine or something. One writer suggested that, and I thought, I could see where that would take place. Big wine party going on. Brings down their inhibitions, gets them ready to have to go through the inspections. Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? Do you remember what it was like, ladies, when you were 13? Man, I'd go dress in a closet behind the closet. Your modesty, your modesty is just rising up at that time. What will we go through? And can we even give up those things that are dearest to us? Most dear to us, our most, that whole virgin part. What else did she do? I imagine that she spoke respectfully. I imagine she saw Haggai and his problems. He was put in a similar situation many years ago. And now he's in the situation where he's got to do it again to people. If you have compassion on the abuser, she had to let go of her expectations of ever being Mordecai's wife, having children with him, being able to cook in her kosher kitchen, do jobs that all of us as housewives grumble about. She would have been happy to do those. I'll do the dishes. I'll change the diapers. She's making the best out of a bad situation, and she was helping others to do likewise, and that brought her favor. Now,
I think also there's a real key here to femininity. And even in the most evil situation, if the woman knows how to retain that innocence and that spirit of a virgin, it's a virgin
spirit.
It's not about not having sex. It's about an attitude of a pure heart. Then that woman can turn the most difficult of situations to something that is good. Women, you have the great power to turn something that is not good to something that is good. But we're not taught that. We're often taught harlotry because that's kind of encouraged in our society.
That's very, very true. So we have 12 months of what I call booty camp. And I'm kind of laughing because everything was going to be about looking good. And 12 months, that's a long time. I mean, it only takes me an hour to look good. It's kind of an obsessive amount of time. And, all this was forming, molding them so that the king was pleased with them. And, maybe they were being plumped up, maybe they were being hair tossed and pulled, but they're together, and they're probably, they're all thinking about that moment that they're going to be called, and they got to go into the king.